Hi George, how are you today?
I'm doing good.
Good. It's nice to see you again. How's your week been?
It's been going good.
Good, good. I wanted to recap with you on a previous statement that you made and just kind of begin from there if we could. I'm going to take some notes. Is that okay? Do you feel comfortable with me?
Yeah, it's
If
fine.
I'm taking some notes, writing some. Okay, thank you. So I want to begin with when you said you feel anxious when you're speaking in either a group, even a small group setting, or in public. And I wanted to ask you what specifically makes you feel anxious when you're doing this.
I don't know. I just get this overwhelming feeling of losing my train of thought, shortness of breath, anxiety. Just the knowing that I have to speak in front of a group setting that it makes me like I start sweating. I don't know. Ever since I was a little kid, I've had that happen to me. I can recall having to do a book report or presentation in front of the class. It's been something that's always been hard.
Okay. Was there ever any particular moment that you experienced where you did have an event, speak in public, where you just feel like did not go well at all?
Um, Not that it didn't go well, but it didn't. I think it was more of a disappointment of not taking the action of doing it,
The action of
of stepping up and actually speaking in front of others.
okay. Well, let me ask you, give me an example, if you could, of a time where you were put in a position to speak in front of even a small group, either in public or a small group setting. Give me an example of when that was an event like that may have occurred for you.
Most recent example was my wife's mother's funeral awakening, where she asked me to close in prayer and to probably say a couple words, and it just kind of took me by surprise. I didn't expect it, and that same feeling kind of came over me, and I just kind of lost my train of thought, and I just froze, and uh, I didn't do it. So it was one of those things that I was more disappointed in myself for not doing it and not being there for her in a time of need. Physically, I was there, but I think that I let my emotions and my own, I want to call selfishness, um, overcome, I mean, not overcome, but dictate uh, me not doing what I really did want to do.
Yeah. Do you think your wife felt like you were being selfish?
No, I don't think so.
Funerals can be overwhelming, very emotional, a lot of a lot going on. Even for you said your mother-in-law, so I know that you want to be supportive for your spouse. But again, there's probably a lot going on, even you being her strength during that time. It's a tough role for someone who loses a mother. Okay, so tell me, when you talk to someone individually, tell me how you feel in a one-on-one conversation with say a stranger?
I think it depends on the subject that we're talking about. I feel like if we have something in common and I feel like the person is, uh, I don't know, I want to say a good person, and we have something in common, it's easy for me to find something that we have in common, I guess, so we could talk about it. Um, when I say if it depends on the subject, if there's anything that has to do with God, I could talk all day with somebody.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Um, so you have a religious preference then.
I do.
Describe that for me. Describe your relationship in the realm of your spirituality.
Well, um, I am a Christian and I do believe in Jesus and I believe in His Word. I believe in the truth. Um, you know, I believe that He died for us and He is my Lord and Savior.
Okay. And you say you can talk about him, your love for him, then all day.
Yeah, it just seems that once I just start talking about God and to somebody, I can just continue the conversation where I don't almost not let them talk.
Oh my. So it's pretty passionate feelings that you have about your spirituality then.
I want to say so, yeah.
Okay. All right. Uh, so there's a sense of comfort in conversation about Christ from what I'm hearing. So tell me a moment when comfort, well, I'm sorry, tell me a moment when an uncomfortable time became comfortable for you.
Um, Uncomfortable was a couple of years ago. I quit my job after being there for 17 years. Uh, it was uncomfortable to start a whole new job somewhere else and with a new setting, new boss, new people, new way of doing things. It was hard to leave that comfort and to start somewhere new. But the end result was worth it.
Well, 17 years is a long time. What made you, what was a pushing point? What made you make that decision to leave?
The fact that I was comfortable there, and I believe I needed to change, and I needed to step out of my comfort zone to grow. And I don't think I would realize that if I was still there.
Okay. Is there another example that you could give me of a time that you were uncomfortable and now you have found this to be a comfortable event in your life?
Um, yeah, when we first started to attend church and starting a new uh, chapter in my life, uh, new church, new people. I think that was
Sounds like a lot of new that was
yeah,
going on at that time. How long ago was that?
it was about 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I think just starting a new church has actually pushed me to look at things way different. Um, it's well, not the church, but I think my relationship with God is changing me to be a different person with different priorities, and I think now I have a different purpose in life, and I'm trying to seek His will and be obedient in whatever He calls me to do. So I think
Okay.
it's an ongoing great learning experience to push me to be better.
Okay. I hear a lot of positive changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, any events within the church that you participate in?
Um, well, I serve there. We're active members, and um, I'm an usher. So serving in the church, I greet people when they walk in, and I help them find a seat if they need assistance or with anything that they might need. Um, I greet them, I'll seat them, and usually during communion we'll pass out trays and juice and just kind of sit back and just keep an eye out for anybody walking in and kind of direct them in the way that they need to go.
Okay. So an usher, for someone that gets anxious to talk to groups of people, that's a pretty big step, it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, it was very intimidating in the beginning when I first was contemplating serving, which actually was one of probably the best decisions I ever made. Um, and it was definitely hard stepping outside of my comfort zone and you know talking to strangers and saying hi to people and working along with other believers and just building new relationships.
It's always nice to build a social circle or, like going to church is almost for 3 years and almost like a family,
Yeah.
like a broadening your family. Well, what about that fear that you had initially? And at what point do you think that you recognized that this was, you said it was a good thing, one of the best things that you ever did? At what point did you recognize that that wasn't such a fear any longer?
When I realized that all the thoughts that I had prior to doing it and all the, like I said, the thoughts and uh, feelings that I had weren't true. Um, I just, it's like how silly of me to think all these things, and here I am. None of it's true. So I just realized that I was worrying for nothing.
So let me ask you, are are there any other events that maybe you are considering but feel a little held back because of a particular fear?
Um, well, I mean, like I said, my priorities have changed in life, and drawing closer to God and reading His Word and realizing that I have a plan and a purpose here on earth, not just to live for myself, for my own desires, but I think at the end of the day, to share Him and to glorify Him. Um, I think it's a fear that I need to overcome in order to be able to share God with others, even if it's a one-on-one or in a group setting. I think the desire for me to overcome that is very strong.
Yeah, I hear the passion and your heart for your love for Christ. And I can I can think back to some of the times that you've mentioned here, uh, 3 years starting in a new church and developing new relationships and looking at the positive side of that and new job. So I see a lot of leaps of faith, if you will.
I truly believe that God is setting me free from many things that were holding me captive, and I think slowly He's showing me to not fear and to have faith. Um, it's an ongoing process, but like I said, I just want to be obedient and to do His work here on earth.
Yeah. So what do you think if you think about something that you would like to do? Any ideas come to thought of what maybe next for you to consider an opportunity that you think is fearful that you might want to challenge?
Yeah, I think to continue to serve not just my church but my community, to help those individuals that are going through situations in their life that I know that just as God helped me with my situations and my issues, my insecurities, and He's still doing it. I know that He could do the same for them. I know He said He's no respecter of persons. Um, so I think stepping that out and maybe volunteering somewhere and somehow being able to share God's word with individuals or people that are going through situations, I might be able to relate to them or encourage them or know that there is hope.
Ah, okay.
Ideally, eventually, I would love to be able to evangelize and have that boldness to speak about Him, no matter what setting.
It's a promising goal.
Yeah.
So, any ideas of what you could do now in
Um,
this realm that might help you reach that goal?
I think to just like I did before, in other situations where I realized that being uncomfortable in a situation that actually helped me grow and just to persevere through that uncomfortable feeling at the end is actually growth. So I think putting myself out there more in situations that make me uncomfortable, I know that just like we're having this conversation about those things that once held me back, that I had issues with, and I no longer do. I think speaking out in public was going to be a different conversation later, where we overcame it.
Yeah. So, what kind of events do you think you might be able to take steps toward the big goal? Maybe some smaller steps right now. Any ideas of what you might consider um, that you would be able to put yourself in a speaking setting or where you would be able to maybe open up a little?
Yeah, I know now with what's going on with the COVID um, situation, we're not having church. And I know that we're doing the Zoom meeting, and sometimes the guy that leads the Zoom meeting is not able to do it. So I might be able to step up and take an initiative to lead it, to speak in front of in a smaller setting, or just to put myself out there. And as well, I know one of our brothers from church, he did a prayer meeting this Sunday, and just taking the initiative to pray in front of the others and just out loud and to not care. So maybe even a class at school that public speaking. I'm not. I don't know. I can see that helping out.
But those are some thoughts, some very promising goals to reach the ultimate goal. Small steps. And when you talk about the Zoom, um, it sounds a little like maybe a little safer environment. Um, so that's a good place to start. I like your idea when you mentioned that. When you said you mentioned prayer meeting and about how many people attend to that.
There was a good 12 people, I think, there attending that.
Still somewhat of a good sized group. Yeah. And are there multiple people that pray in that group?
Yeah, it was kind of, you know, one of those things that if you're led to pray, then, we take your turn and you'll pray. And, I mean, there was definitely, the topic was, for what's going on now in our world with this COVID and just with fear being instilled in people right now. And just how we can be that light and to shine bright and uh, just to show others, uh, where our strength comes from, to be a witness for God, and just for our leaders and our church and our community, and whatever you were led to pray for.
Well, it sounds like an event that would be very interesting and in line with your passion.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Uh, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to close out today, but I'm very interested in maybe getting together the next session and and talk about and maybe an action plan for you and more so implementing these ideas that you've had. Let's see, would that be something you'd be interested in?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mm.